And when it does, a program can either choose to hide here or return to the source.
The machine mainframe.
Yes. Where you must go. Where the path of the one ends. You've seen it. In your dreams, haven't you? The door made of light. What happens when you go through the door? You have the sight now, Neo. You are looking at the world without time.
Then why can't I see what happens to her?
We can never see past the choices we don't understand.
Are you saying I have to choose?
No. You've already made the choice. Now you have to understand it.
No. I can't do that. I won't.
Well, you have to.
Why?
Because you're the one.
Okay, my brothers, the clip that you just heard was from the movie The Matrix Reloaded. And you can hear the Oracle and Neo going back and forth as she tells Neo where the path of the one ends, through the door of light, and why he had to choose to walk through the door, because he's the one. So I've been thinking about my so-called YouTube career, if you can call it that, or my sojourn on YouTube, as I like to call it. It's been 5 years, and there's been ups, downs, and sideways motion in this endeavor. And I've met some really cool people along the way, gained far more subscribers than I ever thought I could, changed a few minds, probably hardened a few others. But all in all, it's been mostly been fun. It's been enjoyable. And I've been humbled by the experience, that so many people would actually listen to what I have to say. But that being said, this has been 5 years, and this is year 6. So now I have to start thinking about what the Oracle was saying to Neo. At some point, the path of the one will end. And I will have to choose to walk through the door of light into YouTube oblivion. And what brought this up, I was listening to Kendra's stream the other day, and they were talking about how I had been doxxed, which isn't the first time. I was doxxed basically 4 years ago, when I had 500 subscribers. So I got 32,500 subscribers now. But I was doxxed 500, 4 years ago when I had 500 subscribers and people didn't like what I said. So the amount of success I have had has really nothing to do with people coming after me for whatever reason. And some of them are valid and some of them are not. And I say it is what it is. It's YouTube. But at some point, I will have to walk through the door of light and discontinue my YouTube journey. And after 5 years, how much more is there to be said? I know I want to finish up certain books, certain long form things that I've collected that have been important to me, that may or may not be important to other people, but it has changed my worldview, and that's what I have attempted to do over time on this particular channel. Change people's worldview. Not so that it would be mine, per se, but they would have a more enlightened worldview on how things actually work, and then they could decide for themselves what they wanted to do or where they wanted to be. But Kendra reminded me of being a Gemini, and being a Gemini is the ultimate detached person. And at some point, when I said all I have to say, I will just walk away from the channel, as I basically did when I had my Black Gnostic Speaks channel. That's still up there, but one day it didn't serve me anymore, and I just switched to IBMOR and really never looked back. Now, every now and then I do post on my Black Gnostic Speaks channel, but for the most part, it's been dormant for almost 4 years. One day I just decided this wasn't the place, and I didn't say it, didn't make any announcement that I was leaving or this would be my last video. I just didn't post there anymore. And as Kendra says, one day this, she was accurate because she's a Gemini. One day I'm just gonna make my last post and I'm just gonna walk away and I won't post here anymore. And what will be up until YouTube decides to take it down. And I'll move on to something else. A lot of people think I do it for ego. I don't. It's a lot of stress to go through just for my ego. I don't get an ego boost out of this. It's probably more frustrating than it is ego boosting, than enlightening. A lot of people think I do it for money. I don't. I could, but on this format, in this particular persona, I don't. Because I thought it was far more important to change Black folks' worldview one step at a time so they could be more effective rather than some short-term monetary gain. Now, I don't throw any shade on people that do, because in my honest opinion, I think you should support your content creators. I think you should support people that speak for you. I think you should show support for people that put themselves out on the line, because trust and believe, if you're on YouTube, you put yourself on the line. And the more known you are, the more online you actually are. But I personally didn't do this for money. This was my personal mission to save as many as I can, help as many as I can, in whatever way that I could, with the resources that I have. As I've been told by many that I give away free game, not only about relationships, but spirituality, but also finance, geopolitics. I give away free game. I could write a newsletter and sell the newsletter and probably get more money than I do get on YouTube. I've attracted far more attention, negative attention to myself than I probably should for the benefit of me and my family. But I think the thing is, it has been my mission as the mission of Sons of Light before me to give back to people of my tribe, of my group. But at some point, the path of the one will end. And when that is, I have no clue. This sojourn is far overextended, far past the point that I thought it would go. Now, I thought it'd be no more than 5 years, probably no more than 4. Here we are in year 6 and it's still going. But Kendra's video got me to thinking that this persona, this pursuit in YouTube is getting old and long in the tooth. And I produced over 1,200 videos, and lots of them there are actually 8-hour live streams. Now, I've heard my information replicated throughout Black YouTube. In fact, I've heard my information replicated on white YouTube. Dating coaches and relationship coaches, as a matter of fact. When you start seeing the world without time, once you have the sight, you're going to have to start choosing. And the choices are almost starting to be made for me. I'm getting tired of new people coming in with the same old shit, challenging me the same old way that they did 5 years ago, and not even bothering to look to see what I'm about. When a Google search would just pretty much find everything that I've ever said. I know people are on their own agenda and keep their own thoughts, and they know nothing about you, but it's not like my opinions or the stuff that I found or my theories are not public. They are, but nobody sees them or nobody wants to see them. because people are full of drama and people want to play around, which is something that happened years ago. That happened during the civil rights, that happened during emancipation, the same crap. And black folks keep doing the same thing over and over again. Because I do believe black people like the status quo. They don't want to move ahead. One of my subs said, he's been following me for years. I've been trying to move my guys along to put them in a better place. Put them in a better place to choose the life, the women, the job, whatever it is that they want. Because that's what I would have wanted if I was the same age. I would have wanted an old guy who's been through the wars to tell me where the landmines are. So that's what I put out. But there's far too many guys that don't want you to tell them where the landmines are. They want to find out for themselves because they don't believe you. They don't believe that you walked across that landmine even though you're walking on 2 artificial legs. So I say let them find out for themselves, which is why I have extended myself on other people's panels, other people's platforms to talk. And what's happening more than me just talking or exchanging information is people that have personal beefs that should have been settled years ago. Could have been settled, has been settled. But they struggle to prove me wrong, especially about my information, and can't, and that frustrates them, so they rather attack me personally. At which point, other than it being annoying, I really don't care because I don't really know them. And that's what people forget. It's YouTube. I don't really know you. Even though you think that I know you and you think that you know me, I don't. And most of my YouTube career is not on panels or having a good conversation. That's being social, but there's very few peers. There's very few peers out there. And since there's very few peers, I get more attacks than conversation. So I think that I'm going to allow young people to reinvent the wheel in their image. And I think all the boomers should just step back because they're not going to listen to you anyway. And that's what I'm finding on my channel. The more they come in, the less they listen. Now, they don't have any answers. They have a lot of opinions. They have no answers. They have very little information, very little analysis, but they're experts. So, at some point, as the Oracle says, when a program faces deletion, you can either hide here on YouTube, doing the same thing over and over again, or return to the source. I'm starting to feel like I'm hiding on YouTube, even though people say that I'm not, that my information is valuable, and I've helped a lot of people. But at some point, the path of the one will have to end, and I will have to return to the source outside of the matrix of YouTube. And some other program, for lack of a better word, some other person, a YouTuber, will have to assume the mantle and hopefully do it better than I have. Hopefully that will happen before I decide to walk through the door of light and return to the source and in the path of the one. Something to think about. Something for me to decide. When is enough? Enough. It's not about money. It's not about subs. It's not about likes. I have nothing to sell. I'm not trying to get into anybody's pants. And I'm not trying to convince you of anything. And when I go, I'll just leave. As I have thought about many times over the past 5 years, to just lock it up and leave. And let the others on YouTube figure it out. But anyway, this ramble probably has gone on a little longer than I had expected. But this is just my heartfelt thoughts about this process, especially with what's going on in the background, because a lot of this stuff going on in the background is completely unnecessary. But it is what it is because it's YouTube. And YouTube, for the most part, like it or not, is democratic. Everybody has a voice. And that's the virtue. But also the problem is everybody has a voice, both subtle and gross. But with that, my fellow Matrix dwellers, I'm going to bounce off of here. This is BGS out. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.